In late 2025, an attack was launched that wasn't supposed to be possible. It was a digital tsunami so massive, it could download the entire Netflix library in under a second. It lasted just 35 seconds, and then it vanished. But the weapon it used is still out there, and it might be on your phone right now. This isn't a movie plot. This is the story of the largest publicly disclosed cyber attack in history. A digital blitzkrieg that peaked at 31.4 terabits per second. To give you an idea of that scale, that's not just a big number. It's like the entire population of the UK, Germany, and Spain all hitting the refresh button at the exact same moment, aimed at a single target. It's enough data to completely saturate the internet backbones that connect continents. And the most chilling part? It was stopped automatically by a global defense system, and for weeks almost nobody knew it had even happened. The official alert came in a dry, technical report from Cloudflare in January 2026. Buried in their quarterly DDOS analysis was a bombshell. Back in November, their systems had automatically detected and neutralized a record-shattering attack. 31. 4 terabits per second. For perspective, the massive attacks that made headlines just a year or two prior were in the 2 to 7 terabit range. This new record represented a 700% increase in size. The game had completely changed, and the world was just finding out. A distributed denial of service, or DDoS attack, is basically a traffic jam on the internet, but a malicious one. The goal is to overwhelm a website or online service with so much junk traffic that legitimate users can't get through. It's like sending 1 million phantom pizza deliveries to one house. The doorbell never stops ringing, and the actual residents can't even get to their own front door. For years, these attacks have been a nuisance. But what we saw in 2025 was different. This wasn't a nuisance. This was a weapon of mass disruption. The sheer volume of packets, the tiny pieces of data that make up internet traffic, was astronomical. The attack peaked at 9 billion packets per second. To put that in context, network engineers have reported that just 4 billion packets per second can physically cause routers, the core hardware of the internet, to fail. Their line cards just give up. This attack was more than double that threshold. It wasn't just trying to cause a traffic jam, it was trying to break the road itself. But how do you even generate that much traffic? You can't just do it from one computer, or even 1,000. You need an army. And the answer to where this army came from is unsettling. It was assembled from a collection of digital ghosts, 2 botnets known as Isuhu and Kimwolf. A botnet is a network of hijacked devices, computers, cameras, smart fridges, and increasingly smartphones, all controlled by a single attacker. These devices become zombies, silently carrying out their master's commands without their owners ever knowing. And the Kimwolf botnet was a monster. Security researchers discovered it had infected over 1.8 million Android devices. Your phone, my phone, the phone of the person next to you. Any of them could be part of this ghost army. In just one 3-day period, the operators of Kimwolf issued 1.7 billion commands to its army of infected phones. That's nearly 1,000 commands per phone, all to generate a flood of malicious traffic. Imagine your phone sitting on your nightstand while you sleep, secretly participating in the largest cyber attack in history. It's a deeply disturbing thought. These weren't powerful servers in a data center. They were everyday consumer devices, weaponized on a global scale. But Kimwolf was only part of the story. Its partner, or perhaps its parent, was a botnet called Aisuru. The name is Japanese and can be loosely translated to love or to care for, a sickeningly ironic name for a tool of digital chaos. Aisuru is what's known as a multi-purpose botnet. It's a cybercriminal's Swiss army knife. DDoS attacks are its specialty, but it can also be rendered out for credential stuffing, using stolen passwords to break into accounts, or for AI-driven web scraping to steal data, or even for old-fashioned spam and phishing campaigns. The relationship between Aisuru and Kimwolf is still debated by security experts. Some see them as two sides of the same coin, with Kimwolf being a specialized Android-focused version redesigned from Aisuru's code to be harder to detect. Others believe they might be run by separate but collaborating groups. But it doesn't really matter. Together, they formed the perfect storm, a distributed army capable of generating nation-state levels of traffic from the pockets of millions of unsuspecting people. So we have this massive digital army. But what was their battle plan? It wasn't a long, drawn-out siege. It was something much faster and much smarter. The record-breaking 31.4 terabits per second peak lasted only 35 seconds. 35 seconds. It seems almost insignificant, but that's the genius of it. This is the new phase of hypervolumetric attacks. They are short, incredibly intense bursts. All defense systems are designed to look for sustained, unusual traffic patterns. A 35-second spike, even a massive one, can look like a sudden, legitimate surge in popularity, like a viral video or a celebrity tweet. By the time a legacy system realizes it's an attack, the attack is already over. The damage is done, the website is down, and the attackers have vanished, leaving behind a confused server log. And this wasn't an isolated event. It was the terrifying climax of a much larger campaign. Cloudflare dubbed it the Night Before Christmas campaign, which kicked off on December 19th, 2025. Over the following weeks, the Aisuru and Kimwolf botnets launched 902 separate hypervolumetric attacks. That averages out to 53 massive attacks every single day. They used a multi-vector approach, combining different types of junk traffic, SYN floods, UDP floods, attacks based on the old Mirai botnet code, to confuse and overwhelm defenses. Most of these attacks, about 58% of them, lasted between 1 and 2 minutes. They were surgical strikes designed for maximum disruption with minimum exposure. The 35-second monster was the exception. The moment the attackers decided to put the pedal to the floor and show the world what they were truly capable of. And this wasn't just a one-off campaign. It was the peak of a terrifying new trend that had been building all year. When you look at the numbers for all of 2025, the scale of this escalation is jaw-dropping. Across the entire year, Cloudflare mitigated 47.1 million DDoS incidents. The final quarter of the year saw a 40% jump in these hypervolumetric attacks compared to the quarter before. As I mentioned, the sheer size of the biggest attacks grew by 700% from what we were seeing in late 2024. What was once a world record became just another Tuesday. Multi-terabit per second attacks are, as Cloudflare put it, no longer unusual. So who are they hitting? The primary targets were telecommunications companies, accounting for 42% of the attacks. This makes perfect sense. If you can disrupt a major telecom provider, you don't just take down one website. You can impact internet access for an entire region. After telecoms, IT and hosting providers were the next biggest targets. The attackers were going after the internet's infrastructure itself. And where were these attacks coming from? While the botnet was made of millions of small devices like phones, a huge portion of the attack traffic was sourced from compromised cloud servers. Virtual machines running on services from DigitalOcean, Microsoft Azure, and Tencent were hijacked and used to amplify the attacks. It's a vicious cycle. The very infrastructure that powers the modern internet is being turned into a weapon to tear it down. And while it's a small percentage, even gamers aren't safe. Just 2% of attacks targeted the gaming industry, but recent high-profile hits like the one that plagued the launch of the game Ark Raiders show that these botnets can easily be pointed at game servers, ruining the experience for thousands of players. This entire episode leaves us with some very difficult and unanswered questions. First, there's the quiet qualifier in Cloudflare's report. This was the largest ever publicly disclosed attack. This begs the question, what attacks are happening that we don't know about? Are there even bigger events that are mitigated privately by governments or other massive tech companies that never make it into a public report? It's very likely that what we see is only the tip of the iceberg. Then there's the mystery of attribution. Who is behind Aizuru and Kimbof? As of early 2026, no major arrests have been made. There are no clear ties to a specific country or geopolitical goal. This fuels the debate. Is this a sophisticated criminal enterprise renting out their botnet for massive fees to the highest bidder? Or is this a nation state testing a new cyber weapon in the wild, gauging the world's defenses before a real conflict? A 35-second, 31.4 terabit burst looks a lot like a weapons test. Firing a missile into the ocean to see how far it goes. And finally, this event forces a reckoning with our defenses. The fact that Cloudflare's automated system stopped it is a huge testament to modern security.